It's the end of the day with Ray. Hello, my friends. Well, if you look on that sharp interactive board, it's Rick Lambert, the best sales performance coach in our industry, folks. Without a doubt, I like Rick a lot. Rick started doing these live events now that this damn COVID thing's over with. He's out there in the marketplace. We saw him. He was at Metro Sales last week. I wanted to bring Rick on and just kind of talk to him a little bit because, folks, the video and the ability to bring your message to the market a lot quicker than you did back in 1990, okay? And then when you brought your message to the market in 1990, it was the same message because you didn't want to have to reprint a whole bunch of brochures. Everything's changed. Video's king. And Rick, let's help out our industry understand this video thing. But how are you doing, buddy? It's been a while since you've been on.
Yeah. A little nervous, ready to come back on. I'm sure I'm going to get a few emails, messages today. What the heck are you doing on End of the Day with Ray?
Just tell him I go on the End of the Day with Ray because I'm trying to disrupt status quo, folks. You know, here's the reality. I don't know how many emails you're going to get, but I would imagine you'll get a couple of them. The good news is that people are watching to send you the email.
Well, you know, I think a lot of businesses in your audience, you've got a lot of great leaders out there, and I think it's so easy today to succeed if you've got a progressive kind of plan to your business or your communication or sales model, because so many, to your point, are stuck in, I think, yesteryear's kind of selling model. And, you know, we promote with our clients, who are awesome people, by the way, and giving us an opportunity to put them in a leadership position, is I think you need the hybrid between a digital and a traditional kind of sales model, and those two is where the magic happens. But, you know, I think I was doing an exercise recently with a dealer, and we had them on the wall write down the top 10 reasons, for example, why a customer would buy from them, right? Because everybody's asking, why should I select you versus somebody else? And after we had, you know, I've done this with several dealers, the same thing every time. They write it down, and I ask them, okay, if you were a customer, be honest, how many of these things would you hear from your other competitors in your marketplace? And sadly, you know, we end up stroking out pretty much, you know, 9 to 10 of them, which says to me that they're communicating the same message, the same status quo, to your point. And I think, you know, you're a classic example, although you break a lot of branches and probably offend a lot of my friends in the industry at times. I think what you've done is you've found a unique voice, and that's different. You're disruptive, I'll call it that. And, you know, I don't think people can argue. Like, I watch your YouTube stats, you're getting, what, 300 to 500 views a day, and using the power of video. So, you know, I just hope people that look at you can see what you're doing in the big picture and not so much kind of the micro messages that you deliver, because I think you're a good example of using technology to communicate your message and hit your target audience.
Well, I would say, Rick, you know, you don't build a platform, do a video every single day for the hell of it. Okay? I mean, this is a business, let's be honest. So you build a platform, you do a video every day, and in my case, the goal was always this: if I could just tell people the things that I believe are important, regardless of how painful those things are to the audience, if I would just be true to that, I could build a platform. If I would tell people the truth, in other words, or if I wouldn't whitewash what we see in our industry, they whitewash a lot of stuff. Everybody's trying to make everybody comfortable. And I figured out a way to monetize and do that. But at the end of the day, I think, you know, a lot of the times you might hear people say, well, we agree with his message, but we don't like his delivery. And, you know, anytime I hear that, here's what I tell them. Well, why don't you do your own damn video and deliver it your way? I mean, if you believe in the message, but you're afraid to go out in the marketplace and say that message, to me, I think that's more of a disservice than, you know, watching the End of the Day with Ray and getting upset the way he delivered the message. You know, and I will say that sometimes I can get a little bit, you know, maybe aggressive, if it could be a word. But, you know, yeah. Rick, let's be honest. I mean, I'm hitting 980 videos, I think, and, you know, we're starting our 6th season here in a little, I think another month away. And, you know, I believe that it's the way the delivery of the message hits the market that made it successful. You know, we just hit 2 million views on LinkedIn over the last 365 days, and I'm maintaining that number. So I think we're doing a lot of things right here on the End of the Day with Ray. And quite honestly, I can't ever change the delivery, so I hope you don't get too many emails. But if you do, you know, just deal with it, I guess.
Well, I think a lot of people agree with your thinking, and, you know, remember, I'm the guy that sent you the note on LinkedIn that said, hey, I think you got something here.
You started the whole damn thing. Why don't they email you and say, why the hell did you get this guy started? Because you're the one that started the whole thing.
I don't need the emails, by the way. But anyway, you know, I'm the guy that sent you the message saying, hey, the China cabinet behind you is speaking louder than what you're saying. So, but, you know, I have an old saying that, you know, success leaves clues, right? And I think people should look at your model and say, okay, maybe that guy's not for me, but what elements out of his game could we use for our
Mm-hmm.
company? And clearly, video is a very underutilized tool. What people probably don't know is you're using automation as well, which is really popular with our clients right now, both sales and marketing automation.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody is familiar with the disruptive AI that's in the marketplace right now. And I think not enough people really understand how can I capture that horsepower and use it in a sales and marketing model, whether it's through the social media platforms, HubSpot integrations, etc. Because the way we communicate today with our customers is significantly different than I think we did pre-COVID. And
Well, here's what I'll tell you. I think that what's not defined by the content creator, if you will, whether that's, if they're doing it on their own, let's put it that way. I mean, if they hire someone that's a content creator, this probably isn't an issue. But I think what happens is they haven't clearly defined what the action is. What do they want to get from this? I mean, when I start doing a video, there's a reason. Even the comical, satirical, nutty ones, there's always a point to it. I want, you got to shake it up a little bit, but there's a point to the message that I want the audience to be able to get. And I think I've been able to accomplish that. But you have to understand what is the point of the message, because I believe there's a lot of dealers out there, especially the dealer owners, that could do fantastic videos. They're not going to be the end of the day with Ray and start screaming at their marketplace. It depends what their vertical is, I guess. I mean, if we see the used car dealer sometimes would do some of that stuff, but if in our industry you're selling technology services, professional services to the business community, but these leaders are in their community. They're at their clubs, they're doing their charity work, and if they just would do videos and talk to some of their business associates in the marketplace, bring their own flavor to that. But they have to clearly understand, what am I trying to get from this video? Because people that do videos just to do videos, and we see folks out there doing that, they end up, it just goes nowhere. It's a bunch of nonsense. But if there's an actual direction that you're trying to take the audience, and you're accomplishing that either through getting revenue, maybe like in my case, I can measure it by am I making money doing this? If I wasn't making money doing it, I wouldn't be doing it. And so, what's the real purpose that they're trying to gain? I mean, do you help dealers define that?
Well, yeah, I mean, video has been a real growth spot for our business. I mean, we do so much more, right, in terms of the whole digital marketing stack and then the sales training. But I think to your point on video, there's an old saying, right? If you can see the end, the beginning is much more clear.
Mm-hmm.
And, one of the things that we coach sales reps on is in a sales call, number one, understand what your call objective is. And when you ask a lot of sales reps, they'll tell you, oh, I just want to go in and sell something. And I think that's too maybe unrealistic or too general. And so, for example, one of the things we coach sales reps at the beginning of a sales call is to ask the prospect, after, of course, some social exchange, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, may I ask, what you'd like to accomplish in our conversation today, to first understand what the customer wants to get out of the meeting, as opposed to, most sales reps push through with their agenda. Now, bring that back to video. I think, I was on with a gentleman this morning, well known in the industry, great guy. If I said his name, I'm sure all your viewers would know it. And I said, geez, why aren't you doing video? Like your face, your brand recognition, etc. And for some reason, Ray, people just want to step back and they don't want to kind of, use their brand voice to kind of communicate. I just think that's a big mistake for so many people.
It's huge. It's huge. Do you know who the very first CEO that did video was? Dave Thomas.
CEO in what, in this industry?
No,
you mean?
just in the world. It was Dave Thomas, the founder of Wendy's. He was This is a true story. He was the very first CEO that did his own commercials. I mean, they didn't have video back then. There was no YouTube. But he wanted to share the message or his vision of his restaurant through his own eyes. This is my vision. Let me explain it to you. And I think, this is part of the problem. I mean, if the CEOs of the dealerships out there aren't able to articulate their vision into the marketplace, their competitors are. And, video is, I'm telling you, you could be really crappy at video. If you have if there's context to your message. We see people throwing videos out there, and I'm pretty critical of a lot of them. They're throwing videos out there of just pure nonsense. They're doing a video. I call it the narcissist. I mean, it's like they're looking in the mirror or something. But they're doing a video that's not really accomplishing anything. And after a while, then the audience is like, well, what the hell are you trying to help me with? It's like Captain Obvious, if you will. I think he even wrote an article about that one time. But if a dealer owner, they have a business, they built this business, they built this culture, they have this deliverable, they want to go to the marketplace, they should be excited about sharing that. And what they need to do is just start recording themselves. Just record themselves.
So I'd probably agree and disagree with you there, and I'll tell you why. Is because I think a lot of them that I talk to, and we're working with some dealer principals right now to get them up on their water skis on video. And what I hear is that, when the door's closed and it's just that person and I speaking, what they say is, Rick, to be honest, I'm not sure what to say. I'm not that comfortable on video. And I'm not sure really what message would resonate best with my customer. Okay, so that's how they open up. Mm-hmm. The challenge at the same time they have is that they have a difficult time with a non-standard message arriving at their customer's doorstep from different sales reps. So in other words, if I met with 10 sales reps or 50 sales reps, or last week at Metro 80 salespeople, if I met with different people from your company, would I hear a different message? And I think the one thing that the leader can do is communicate a message that they want standardized or scaled through their people. And then, of course, as you know, the power through platforms like LinkedIn, can scale that message so much. So where I was pushing back on your message is, I think, with all due respect, whether it's my organization or another, I do think a little bit of coaching up front before you swing the driver on the first tee will keep you out of the woods, because a couple mistakes early, I think, especially with the the credibility these people have in their community, I think deserves a little bit of coaching up front to make sure.
Well, I mean, don't get me wrong. I also said don't throw shit out there. Don't just you got to have context to the content. Yeah. My point was they should start recording themselves. They don't need to publish it, but they need to record themselves so they can watch themselves. And these dealer owners have this. I mean, every one of these dealer owners that you talk to, I'm sure by the time you're done talking to them, the first thing out of your mouth is, "You just did a video." You just shared, when you talk to them about their company, and they'll throw all this wonderful stuff out there that they've been able to accomplish and with their teams, and they're all passionate, excited about it, and then they'll tell you that, and then they're going to say, well, I just don't know what to say on a video. Well, what you just said is what you say on a video. And and hopefully they're getting that, because the bottom line is, I think it's an age thing. And we're starting to see that those 40-year-olds are really starting to take charge now, and those 45-year-olds are starting to take charge now. They grew up with all this crap. And so, it's these baby boomers like me, and there's, that are out there, doing video, but that's very few. But the younger generation is doing this, and the competitors are going to do this, and those competitors are going to get in the minds of those buyers because of it.
Absolutely. If we're in a market, our clients are using video for sure, and we do our due diligence to help our customers have an unfair advantage versus their competition. And one of those is video for sure. Mm-hmm. And next week I'm really proud to be keynote speaker at the Reprographic Service Association. So this is a mature group of great people. I've interviewed a few of them before going down there. And Ray, they're asking for help to create more demand, not just leads, but a lot of times people, I think, mistake that they don't understand the difference between lead generation and demand generation. Demand generation is really a heightened awareness. Oh, these guys do offer IT services. I thought they just did copiers. Yeah. Oh, they do offer cybersecurity. I didn't know that. And anyway, I know we're talking a lot about video today because it's a good topic. It's just one of the slices within the mix, but it's clearly a quick thing. Someone can get up and going right away for sure.
Well, we just got to do it, and I agree with you. We need to make sure there's some discipline there. I'm at the end of the day with Ray. I mean, at the end, there's no one going to tell me I did something wrong. I could care less because it's me. So, but when you work for a corporation, you got to have a message that's obviously, directed by that corporation. You can't just go out there and start flinging stuff. And I think a lot of the dealers, and we see like my friends at Impact's a great example. There's folks within that organization, they go out and they produce their own content. I mean, they don't have time to manage everything, but it takes the trust. They have to learn how to do it properly before they're allowed to go out there and execute that way. But it's so valuable. I mean, when you start looking at these young executives doing video and articulating messages that are, making sense to the end users, what's their competitor doing? Trying to leave some brochure? I mean, this is absurd. You're going to leave somebody a brochure. It's just like nobody's going to read that crap.
So I was at a conference, and when I'm speaking, I always like to sit in the sessions prior to when I speak, so I can tie in, whatever's been discussed in the room
Mhm.
before. And I remember they had a panel at the front, and one of the leaders within this organization, and they were in the office products industry, said to the group, and this guy was a recognized leader, he said, whatever you do, don't let your sales team go back to pre-COVID methodology,
Oh
whatever you
yeah.
do. And
Mhm.
I thought it was so prophetic in what he was saying, because I think a lot of organizations, when COVID passed, were like, okay, they exhaled and they went right back to the old feet on
Mhm.
the street kind of, and I'm an old schooler too. I get it. I think some people mistake, Rick's all LinkedIn. Absolutely not. I just think if you've got clubs in your bag and you're not using all of them, I think you're missing out on kind of what the driver can do,
Mhm.
digital scale, automation versus, the putter when you're in close, which is the relationship sale that we all know. At the end of the day, I think people buy from people they like, right?
Well, I would tell you this, and I think you just opened up that door, but one of the things that I've been beating the industry up on is this obsession to figure out when we're going to get back to print or what level of
You
print we're
you
back
beating the
to.
industry, you beating the
Just,
industry up.
but
Sorry, did I hear you say that?
there's no going back to anything. If we stop, we shouldn't even be measuring that shit. It's irrelevant. Nobody's going back to anything. We got to be going forward, and in order to
Yeah.
go forward, we got to make ourselves uncomfortable. And I would say the best way for anybody to get uncomfortable is to watch the damn end of the day with Ray. Rick's a testament to that. Rick,
Well,
is there anything you want to add before we end this?
Yeah, I would just say that I'll leave you with a Canadian quote here from the great Wayne Gretzky, all-time scoring leader in the National Hockey League, given playoffs are coming
Oh
up.
my God, I know this
Uh,
quote. He says it all the time.
and I know they're all cheering for my Leafs out
Oh
there.
my
But
God.
anyway, Gretzky used to say, don't skate to where the puck is, skate to where the puck is going. And I would just ask, if you're watching today, and whether you're a sales professional, a sales leader of some sort, business owner, have you really thought about, where the puck is going, and are you changing kind of your model to engage the customer, including digital methodology, not just, traditional ways that, we grew up with and are still very, very important.
I told him if he ever said that Wayne Gretzky quote again, I was going to give him grief. What the hell? Can you come up with a new one? That you can tell when people are old. They always go back into the box. They got this old quote. So next time you're on, I want a different quote because we all know about the puck. It's going that way. Go where the puck's going. Come up with something a little bit more exciting for us.
How about treat people the way you'd like to be treated yourself? How about that one there?
Well, that might work. But, I don't really care if people yell at me. I kind of like that. It gets my blood boiling. Rick, it's always great having you on. And by the way, I will be in Canada in May, so I'll reach out to you when I'm getting up that way. But everybody watching us knows this. Status quo is the killer of all that'll be invented. Don't get stuck in status quo. We'll see y'all tomorrow.